Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the ENVELOP Podcast. I'm your host, Eugene Creepy MC. We continue to explore what's going on in the Web3 space right now by talking with Web3 professionals who build the industry with their minds and their hands, and their teams, of course. So please welcome my today's guest. He's David Fernandez. He is senior blockchain developer and also the founder at CW3. And CW3 is Web3 programs for career switchers. If you are looking into switching your career from Web2 or even classical niche to Web3, this is an amazing task. This is your dream. This could become the main decision of your life. So this is for you. So David, maybe helpful for you. So we promised you to help to get a six-figure job at Web3. So David, it's only a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for joining our podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eugene. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm always interested how a person becomes a blockchain developer, because we're born not programists, we're born not engineers, we're born like humans here. Then something happens in our life and we turn to blockchain developer. Tell us your story about Web3. How did you get into the space and how did you become a blockchain developer?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about my experience. So I started in blockchain in 2020. I read a Medium article of a protocol called Yearn Finance, and I was fascinated by the technology. I didn't know anything about crypto. I just heard a little bit about Bitcoin, but I never really invested in it. I didn't really read much about it. I just read that article and I just thought that it was fascinating because at the time I was looking for a industry where things were changing fast and things were going to be a lot bigger in the future. And I was actually going into AI, but then after reading a few articles of crypto, then I decided just to go full on crypto in 2020, early 2020. So since then, I just been learning programming because I didn't know any programming at the time. So, and I'm a self-taught programmer. And so if I did it, anyone else can do it. And so, yeah, so that's how I started in blockchain development. So it was actually through Yearn Finance.
So you got into the DeFi, not summer, DeFi spring of 2020. This was the same time as period when DeFi had become on its peak. Okay, you did not learn programming before?
Correct. Yes, I started learning programming in 2020. So I actually graduated with a non-technical degree, which is marketing, and I really just wanted to learn how this technology works from first principles. So I really wanted to know what the code does and all the different things that contracts do, and so that way that I can learn and also build things and understand things better. So that's why.
So you were not a tech person at all, and you knew about blockchain, DeFi, Yearn Finance, and you started to learn programming from scratch into the blockchain Web3 space. Amazing, absolutely amazing, man. I'm your fan forever.
Great, thank you so much.
So David, what excites you most of all in the Web3 space?
Well, many things, but if I have to say probably one thing, or one of the top, I think it's going to be very important for the entire industry what's happening in DeFi, specifically with the protocols that are built on top of each other, for instance, Yearn Finance, but not only that, just also Curve, Convex, Prax, all these different protocols that are DeFi that are not super popular, but they're super useful, and they just show that they are very resistant. So nothing happened to them during this bear market. They are very resilient. A lot of people are not talking about, for instance, Prax, which is an algorithmic stable coin that is actually decentralized. Nothing happened to that stable coin, and it just goes to show that this technology, if done correctly, it's a lot more powerful than the regular traditional financial products. So that's probably one thing.
Amazing. So talking about carriers, you founded CW3 because I do see when I interview in my experts, because they establish their business on their personal stories. They change their life with Web3, and they tell how it's repeated with other lives. So it's not a surprise for me that you founded CW3, because you do understand how was it to change your life, how to reestablish your personal life career on Web3. So tell us more about how do you plan to help people with CW3?
Yeah, so once I start out in 2020 learning programming, there's not enough tooling even today. And not even that, I mean, there's resources for free. However, there's no a path or there's not a program in the industry at the moment where it takes you from zero to actually getting higher. So even though there are boot camps, they're not really that good. You don't actually learn that much. To be honest, I took a few of them and I saw that there's a huge necessity in the industry for people that want to transition to actually learn not only just the skills, but also learn how the interview process is, the resumes, how to build a good portfolio, what are the projects that you should have, and what are the things that are expected once you are in a job. For instance, most of the tutorials on YouTube, they don't teach you anything about how to build a good application from the production side. So most of those things are just fractionalized. I mean, they're not complete tutorials, and that's something that is lacking. So with CW3, the goal is to help people transition to Web3, but with tools that that would enable them to build applications that are robust, that are secure. And obviously security is something that is relative. There's nothing that is 100% secure, but there is a lot of things that you can do to make it less likely to be hacked. So there are a lot of things that are not in one place in Web3 for people that want to transition in web development, Web3 development. And that's where CW3 comes in, is to take those people and to, turning from known coders like me into coders with a job in Web3 within 6 months to 1 year, if you're a non-coder.
Okay, so for non-coders, the main requirement, you have not to be a coder first. You may be, so let me paraphrase. If we talk about office administrator or marketer, marketing specialist in classic niche, any classic one, Web2 niche, is this kind of people your target audience of CW3? Because you are giving them a hope of a radical life-changing, switching from their current job, regardless of web at all, to Web3, which is quite radical. Am I understanding you correctly?
Correct. Yeah. So that's one of the main markets for me. There are actually, well, for me, not for CW3, there's actually two. So yeah, it's the non-tech people that want to switch to Web3. Obviously, all the benefits that come with that are amazing. And also for people that are in Web2 that wants to transition to Web3. So for those people that already know some coding, that knows JavaScript and web development, it's going to be a lot shorter for them. So probably 3 to 6 months. Those are obviously standards that you can be they might take a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, depending on how many hours you're putting in during the week. So yeah, so those would be the two main targets, I guess, for CW3.
Now I do understand why the slogan "Switch your career to Web3" is the most precise slogan here, because for those who are not who don't even know about existing as such a thing as Web3, if they're using Instagram and Facebook, you are in Web2, man.
Yeah.
You don't know that, you know about that. So move to Web3.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're correct. Yes.
Give us, please, up to 3 main solid reasons why do you, the viewer of this podcast, should consider to change your life into Web3 from scratch. Why do you need to turn to Web3?
Yeah, so you have to look into what's happening in the next decade, specifically 2020 to 2030. And there's just going to be a couple, maybe 3 industries that are going to completely disrupt what's been built so far. And I would say the number 1 is actually crypto. Probably number 2 would be either AI. Some people are saying Internet of Things. That's more speculative, and at that point, I don't think exactly which one would be. But I know crypto for a fact is the next big thing in the next decade. So if you want to be involved with an industry that is growing a lot faster than any others, crypto is a really great choice. The second reason would be that it's very early. So you have a lot of upside, very downside. You're actually in a bear market, which is the best time to actually get in crypto. It's not in the bull market where most people actually get into crypto. It's too late, and then you start. Then this the experience the bear market. So it is a cyclical industry, and just like tech in real estate, although obviously more volatile. So I would say that that would be reason number two. And for reason number three, I'm very fascinated with what you can build and with things that are being applications that have never existed before. So you are able to build things that never existed. For instance, so flash loans. So a lot of people don't even know that, but there are basically loans that you can ask that you don't have to put any collateral, and you can borrow millions of dollars as long as you pay within the same block transaction. So you can have access to a lot of millions of dollars from a lending protocol. And you can do what's called arbitrage, where you buy and sell one protocol, you buy in one protocol and you sell in the other, and then you make a profit. So that's just one use case. You can also swap collateral with flash loans. So there are what's called self-repaying loans, which are loans that get repaid themselves, but you actually, once you just get the loan, it gets repaid itself. There are just a lot of different use cases that don't exist in traditional finance. So if you want to actually build the next big thing, you probably want to actually get into crypto. I can just name you literally like 20 things that are happening that are insane, just like the two that I just mentioned with flash loans. But yeah, that would be the third reason.
Definitely. Let me add one more reason. Remember, please, how the internet had been evolving the last 25 years. If in 1997 you had known how the world would be looking like with Facebook and Instagram, that Facebook will have up to 3 billion people of its users. When you join internet in, let's say, 2002 or 2005, where YouTube even hadn't been started yet. And this is the same situation now with Web3, because despite of having 13 years of Bitcoin, we are still in the early stage of Web3. Just imagine how the world will be looking like in 2030, when the ability to own an asset where nobody controls, nobody except you, and you need no permission of somebody to move this asset to anybody in the world, just by the transaction on the blockchain. Will be fascinating for you to join right now. There's an amazing story, and I'm really happy that David, we are both in Web3, and we are motivating people. Every podcast episode, ENVELOP becomes another motivation point for any watchers to switch your life into Web3. Amazing, amazing. So how would you say, what are the main challenges when somebody turns into Web3? What should he be ready for? What challenges expects him?
Yes, so I guess the main challenge for people that want to transition to Web3 is it's very overwhelming at first. So what's happening is that most people that feel overwhelmed, though, they don't do research after, and they just leave, or they just, hey, well, I understand a little bit of Bitcoin, but because I have a lot of, for instance, relatives that they don't understand even what I do today. And I try to explain to them, and they just feel frustrated. And maybe it's because I'm not explaining myself well, or they just don't understand something that's missing, and therefore they don't understand everything else in crypto. So I think those are the main challenges. And one way that I would say to approach crypto and to understand it if you don't know anything is to just understand the technology, just the blockchain, what it is and what it really does. And just understand just maybe 2-3 concepts well, which is, obviously blockchain, but also consensus mechanism and also cryptography. And when you put those 3 things together, then you're going to see, okay, well, there's actually something here. With this, you can actually build things, and this is what it provides. This is why Web3 is actually better than Web2. All these privacy things that are, that's an issue in Web2, you don't necessarily have them in Web3. Right? You still have them, a few of them even now and then, but a lot less. And there's going to be a lot less with time as well, because the technology is extremely new. So I would say that's probably the one challenge that I would approach it if I were to start in crypto again, is to learn the basics well and then go from there. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd love to ask you about another interesting slice of audience, which perhaps is not your, nonetheless, the people who currently working in Web2, they do close familiar with the internet, with Web2, but they are not switching to Web3 yet, because maybe for safety reasons, for salaries and so on and so forth. a lot of reasons. So would you recommend to this category of people who are still working in Web2 in big companies, Web2 companies, centralized master's companies, would you recommend them to look into the side of Web3 and maybe considering switching their career to Web3? And if yes, why should they do that?
Yeah, so I would say that so if you're working in Web2, I would say the main reason for you to transition to Web3 is because you're actually building something that is going to be the next generation, the next things that are going to be implemented in the industries in general and technology. So if you actually want to be part of something bigger than yourself, probably you want to actually get into Web3. There's just a lot more opportunities to do things that never existed before. And just all the innovation, and all the people here are very, very collaborative. Also, the smartest people too that I know, the actual geniuses, are coming into this space, not into Web2. And just I guess one thing that you can observe that is very interesting is that everyone that goes from Web2 to Web3, they don't go back to Web2. All the people in Web2 go to Web3. You don't see that backwards. So that's probably a good indication that this industry has something that the others don't. So probably it's a very good idea to at least explore. So
absolutely. I'd call NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, a sort of building blocks for Web3, because from my point of view, any non-fungible thing, any unique thing in the world, in the physical world and digital world, of course, maybe and will be represented in form of non-fungible. How do you perceive the future of potential of NFT to be used as a tool for representing anything unique? Give me all your thoughts on that.
yeah, so well, just think about it of today, right? So everything that you actually own can be digitized, and it's going to be digitized eventually. And it's the way that you actually make sure that that product, that even physical product, is going to be representing NFTs. Everything is going to be built with NFTs, which are basically contracts that give you ownership to an asset. So that's what they fundamentally are. They're just contracts that give you ownership to an asset, and it's just digitized. And everything that exists in the real world that there is some ownership is going to be represented in NFTs. So it's not just music, it's not just art. You can really think about anything. And right now there's a few ERCs that are coming up that are very interesting. For instance, I don't remember exactly the number, but there is a ERC 20. So by the way, ERC is just a standard in NFTs in programming. So you just copy that standard and you add things to it to make something new. And that standard allows NFTs to be represented by a physical asset, and that already exists. So there are a lot of things that are not built that can be built right now. So that's the whole reason for why I started CW3, is that it's just to start people with just to help the industry better. If it's better to actually have 100 people than just me building things. So that's why I actually wanted to start CW3, because I think that's really something that we need. And NFT is something that is solving a lot of the issues that we have today, specifically come with ownership. So, yeah.
There's no surprise that being on Web3 space requires a lot of learning. Perhaps this could be the main one of the main factors which makes the boundary or stops people from being on the space, because they see overwhelming amount of information, where to learn, how to, from whom to learn. From the one side, it is a huge possibility. Look into that, listen for him, read this book, amazing. Choose whatever you like. From the other side, it's not understandable. What is the signal and what is the noise in this information flow? Took me up to 5 years. I've been in 5 years for space, and I just only now realized what is actually going on in Web3. And this is counting that I had a lot of good background of economists before I came into space, because I'm also an economist. I do understand how the fiat system works, how it is to say broken. I could even read lectures about that, how it's broken and how it will end. And then I came to Web3 because Web3 is realizing of our ideas we were discussing in our marginal corners as economists. That was my motivation. And I started to read a lot, learn a lot, news, books, so on and so forth. So I developed my own strategy of learning, and this podcast is one of my tips. How do I learn from other persons like you? Because this is a unique insight in write-up. I'd love to ask you about how would you suggest to learn for Web3, learn about Web3 for newcomers, what is your personal learning strategy? Of course, you are a developer, you have developed your own, but you are a tech person. So how would you suggest to learn Web3 to newcomers?
Yes, so expect to feel overwhelmed at the beginning, so don't worry, it's normal. So don't feel that you're not smart or that you don't process information that well like others. It's just a lot of information at the beginning, so it's normal for you to feel overwhelmed. So don't be discouraged by it. Understand just the basics. So like I said previously, blockchain, cryptography, and also consensus mechanism. So it just in simple words, I can just really quickly explain that. So blockchain is just a database, and just like a database, just a place to store data. There are some qualities to that blockchain that makes it unique. Among those things are consensus mechanism, which is the decision-making system that computers have to make decisions on the network, on the blockchain. What transactions should be added, what transactions should not be added. So this consensus mechanism is just a way for them to agree upon a specific transaction. Now, a transaction is just something, it's just a transaction, by the way, it's just data being transferred. And lastly, the cryptography, just a study of mathematics that, allows to secure data, and that's what it is. So, I just explained those three concepts, and so now that if you have a good idea what that is, then you can move forward with the next steps, which are, probably a little bit more about DeFi, maybe a little bit more about NFTs, whatever you're interested in the most, and then you start from there. Probably I would just follow one guy on Coin Bureau on YouTube, as well as you, and just to just start learning. Remember that it's a journey, it's a process. You don't have to learn everything the first 2 weeks, so just take your time. It takes time, don't worry, but start a journey, and it just gets more exciting the more you are in. So
I absolutely love the term journey, because this is could become perhaps the most extremely interesting journey in life, turning your life into Web3. So I'd love to ask you about, David, about evolution of a blockchain developer. You've been a blockchain developer for 2+ years. How do you see your personal evolution? How do you plan to evolve, and how at all a blockchain developer should consider his own evolution as the blockchain developer?
Yeah, well, the evolution, I guess, start out obviously you're learning, but once you start learning some things, then you can build a few things. Then you can start. I guess the best way to the next step for a blockchain developer would be to get clients as a freelancer. That teaches you what actually projects are looking for. When someone asks you for something to build, what are the requirements? How things are. How things they want you to implement, and then you can learn a lot from your mistakes. Obviously at the very beginning also there are plenty of mistakes, and just start from there. And once you're more comfortable having clients, then you can move up forward with working with companies, and you can decide to build your own startup as well. So I actually did a poll a few days ago, and then there's actually a lot of people that just want to learn Web3 because they want to build their own applications. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs coming into this space. I would say probably about 30%. So everyone wants to actually build their own thing eventually. And really the best way to build your own thing that gives you the most probability of success is probably Web3 development specifically, is because that would allow you to learn things from first principles. And that would allow you to know, well, what can be added, what cannot be added, how I would add it, and how would I actually present it. And if you know development, then it's a lot easier for you to know what the roadmap should look like, or even hire someone that can do that. But then now you know what you're asking for. So I guess that would be like one roadmap that I would approach. But there are obviously many, but that would be one.
Amazing recommendation. I hope will help to our listeners. One of the best way to understand what's going on, because our reality has been changing very, very rapidly. In every 3 or 6 month radical changing we do experience. And one of the best way is to follow thought leaders, renowned persons on Web3, such as like Vitalik Buterin or his father Dima Buterin, and so on forth. Do you have your own thought leaders you are personally following on Twitter or somewhere, and they are great authorities for you, and you listen for them carefully? If you do have, who are they?
Yeah, so I would say Coin Bureau. I think he's the largest channel on YouTube. I think he's 2.1 million subscribers. I think he's probably the best introduction, probably the only guy that you need. just to learn the basics very quickly. I think he just in 20 minutes, he just goes through a lot of different information. He summarizes things very well. He's like really good. He's good at explaining very complex things. So Coin Bureau on YouTube would be one. Bankless. Yes.
Bingo. We've named it again. We named Bankless perhaps in one half of my episodes. I'm a huge fan of them. Thank you for mentioning them.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's interesting. I thought they were actually. I think they're very popular. I would not say up only because I mean they're great too. You can follow them, but they're just mostly with interviewing whales, and they're just very specific and very high level sometimes. So it's not something that you want to start like learning from the beginning. So I would say just Coin Bureau, Bankless is really great. And maybe just one or two Envelope definitely. And what you're doing is actually really amazing work and just educating people. And I think that what that is great. And I think those would be the ones that's actually plenty of work already. So I wouldn't actually overwhelm with anything else. So.
Absolutely. So you may find a lot of interesting persons in a space, and we find whoever you like. And finally, Jared, what's the best way to follow you on the net and how to start work with you to switch your career to Web3? What should one undertake? What steps?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I'm David Fernandez, and you can find me on LinkedIn by that name. You can also find the company CW3 on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. You can subscribe to the newsletter, and you can check that out once you get into the page. And also on Twitter, the handle for me is MetaHawk. So meta, just like the word meta, and then hawk, like the animal hawk, but with Q at the end. And same with CW3 for Twitter. And yeah, so that would be those would be the channels that if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me, you can DM me, and yeah, we can talk. Those would be the channels.
Definitely. Needless to say that all the links you may find in the description below in this video, and David and CW3 are tagged in the posts on social media where you have found this podcast. This has been another episode of ENVELOP Podcast. David Fernandez, a senior blockchain developer who started his career from zero, being not programmers at all, coder at all. And me, Eugene Crypto MC, already thank you for watching and listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode of the ENVELOP Podcast. We bring you insights and unique thoughts of the people who built the Web3 realm with their minds and their hands. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for the next episode of the ENVELOP Podcast. Bye-bye. Blockchain. B-L-O-C-K chain. Digital money, smart contracts, NFT, IDO, decentralization, transparency. So many opportunities, but so many challenges. Some financial manipulators, by their actions, confuse blockchain solutions and block their development. The idea that the blockchain should bring copyright and royalties protection to the next level is quite old, but the realizations of these ideas are not perfect at all. There is another problem of determining the value of a particular cryptocurrency or NFT. These and other problems need to be solved. Fortunately, the blockchain infrastructure is evolving. My name is E, Mr. E, and I represent the ENVELOP project. Many things have already been invented in the blockchain today. Tokens, smart contracts, platforms for creating your own coins, NFTs, exchanges for buying, selling, and exchanging all these blockchain resources. ENVELOP is another step in the development of crypto technologies. The protocol that works with NFT and cryptocurrencies. The idea is simple but disruptive. Let's assume you have an NFT, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Using the ENVELOP protocol, you can wrap the original NFT accompanied with several tokens. Technically, you get a similar NFT, but what is the breakthrough here? Once wrapped, the token has a number of additional features that were not available before. The minimal cost appears. It is provided with coins wrapped together with NFT. An asset wrapped with ENVELOP has a number of properties that allow the original author to receive royalties from the resale of that asset. Various rules can be applied to the wrapped token. For example, a lock period for unwrapping. It secures the asset till the determined moment or safeguards it from speculation during the hype period. At the same time, wrapped tokens can be transferred and traded. These are just some of the scenarios for using ENVELOP. NFTs become more popular, and the tools provided by ENVELOP expand the opportunities of NFTs utilization. Wide application possibilities are achieved due to the fact that, in addition to the protocol, the project includes a number of subsystems. The protocol provides functions wrapping and unwrapping. Oracle Mechanics provides asset valuation using analytical algorithms. Index provides a summary assessment of several NFT assets with the common criteria. The project has its own token, which connects all elements of the system. Altogether, this is ENVELOP, a tool in the blockchain world for building modern and secure systems in various fields. Find more info about the project on the website. ENVELOP. Make your NFT valuable. Just practical, no hype.